So, video games, right? I like them. I play them sometimes as well. Even this year. And that's what this video is about. Any games that I beat for the first time this year that I want to talk about. Just as a little note, I didn't actually play that many games that came out this year. So don't expect any super hard hitters like Hades 2 or Silksong. Anyway, segue. Nubby's Number Factory is a game that I've already made a video about, so I'm gonna try to keep this part short. Nubby's Number Factory is a roguelike where you shoot this little guy, that's Nubby, towards a bunch of pegs to bounce around and pop them to reach your round goal. Rinse and repeat until you finish the run at round 80. But thankfully, the gameplay isn't that simple. There's also a bunch of items and perks that can help you with your pegscapades, and they range in usefulness from Guaranteed Win to Plastic Tree. There's also the cafe food, special events, boss rounds, different supervisors, endless mode challenges, and the alternate costumes they added in the most recent update. But I'm not going to talk about these because I already went over them in my video playing the game, so just watch that. Or buy the game yourself since it's only $7.50 on Steam. Go get Nubby's Number Factory, it's my favorite roguelike. Hidious Jorkzilla Penitspasta is an absolutely insane RPG version of the NES Godzilla creepypasta, heavily inspired in both gameplay and writing by the Five Nights at Boys games.
Inhale my dong enragement, child.
I'm gonna give you like a few seconds to process the words that just came out of my mouth. I'm pretty sure that this is the first and only finished game adaptation of the NES Godzilla creepypasta, which, if true, is absolutely hilarious that that title goes to Hideous Jorkzilla Penitspasta. The game's plot is basically the same as the original creepypasta, except without anything involving Zack, Billy, or Melissa. Instead, it's just about Godzilla trying to become a real god, and forcing Mothra, Anguirus, and Solomon to join him in this quest, with boss fights against all the major bosses from the creepypasta.
It is time to begin my conquest for godhood.
And you wanna know the craziest thing? This game is good. Like, really good. Really, really good. All the unique memories allow for like a million different playstyles and builds. And not only are there boss fights for creatures from the creepypasta, there's also fan game bosses, scrapped fan game bosses, stuff from NES Godzilla Replay, fan characters, and a ton of in-jokes and references. And all of these fights have really good music. Well, mostly. I don't ever want to go back to Not Varan again. But seriously, this game is really good, and it was pretty much made by one person. And it's free! I mean, it basically has to be because it's a Godzilla fan game, but there's so much content stuffed into this game. They even added the spy from Trance. Wait, where'd he go?
Right behind you.
UFO 50 is a fake retro game collection that has 49 great games and Barbuda. It's basically if Action 52 was actually good. What's crazy is that every single game here is completely unique and plays completely differently, except for the games that are sequels, because yes, there are sequels and spin-offs. I haven't actually beaten every game here though, so I'm just going to list off some that I think are worth mentioning. Game 1, Barbuda. Game 6, Mortal. a Lemmings-styled puzzle game where the amount of guys that you finish the level with is the amount that you start the next level with. Game 10, Devolition, a puzzle strategy game where you have to link your bomb creatures together to blow up all the demons, while keeping the townspeople safe. Game 14, Bushido Ball, a fighting game where you have to hit the ball into the opponent's side 8 times. Each character controls differently and has their own unique special move. Also, I am so close to being actually good at this game and getting the trophies, but I still suck so much. Game 16, Camouflage, a cute little puzzle game where you have to blend into your environments to avoid predators. It also kinda reminds me of Baba Is You. Game 22, Porgy, a game where you play as a cute little submarine exploring the ocean to find upgrades and randomly fight crazy sea monsters. It's kinda like if NES Jaws was actually good. Game 28, Rail Heist, a really addictive strategy game where you take turns controlling some train robbers while the cops try to catch you. There's also a bunch of crazy mechanics such as punching at the floors so the cops fall onto the tracks, instantly crushing the cops with metal safes, ows. Game 29, Vanger. It's Metroid but you play as a robot. Of course I like it. It's also hard as balls. Game 37, Vow Brace. It's Medieval Punch-Out, but it's also a dungeon crawler with magic. Of course I like it. It's also even harder than balls. Game 40, Grimstone. An entire Wild West themed Final Fantasy game where you have a bunch of different characters to choose from for your party. You can even have a dog! Game 42, Night Manor. A point-and-click horror game where throughout the game, you're constantly being stalked by a killer, and you never know when they're gonna pop out. And those were just a few examples of the great games in UFO 50. And also Barbuda. There's also the terminal system, which can sometimes give cheats for a few games. Seems very situational though, so I'm not sure why they added it. What the fuck? Persona 3 Portable is a game I am very conflicted about, but first of all I should probably explain Persona's gameplay to anyone watching this who has a life. Persona is an RPG series where half of the game is spent doing your regular RPG activities, you know, dungeon crawling, battling enemies, etc., while the other half of the game is spent in the normal world, where you increase your social stats and hang out with party members / other characters to see them go through their own mini character arcs, which are called social links. What sets Persona apart from other RPGs is the personas themselves, which are all based on different mythological beings. Each party member gets their own persona, and they give you access to do cool things like elemental damage and instantly killing enemies with the power of God. The reason to increase your social stats is to hang out with certain characters, and the reason to hang out with characters is so you can make stronger personas. Alright, now I can actually talk about Persona 3 Portable. So I didn't actually start playing P3P this year. I first played it back in 2023, and I gave up on it because the mini-bosses were way too hard. But then this year, one of my friends got Persona 3 Reload, and I realized, oh yeah, I should probably beat Persona 3. So then I did, and my final thoughts on it are... Talking about this game is going to be hard, because I feel like saying anything could be a spoiler, but first I'll go over what I do like about P3P. The story is really good. In my opinion, it's the best of the modern Persona games. The fact you can play as a girl instantly makes this version better, because you don't have to deal with the stupid "yeah, woo, boys night" crap that's in every Persona game. Also, she has far better music than the male protagonist, and you can fight me on that. Speaking of music, it's really good. Not just the female protagonist's songs either. All the music in this game is top tier. The social links are really good as well, especially the female protagonists, because she actually gets to hang out with the male party members. If you can't tell, I vastly prefer her over the male protagonist. This game is very gay, and I think that's very cool. The way the characters summon their personas in this game is the coolest way, because they shoot themselves and the game's about deaths, so it's like thematically relevant. The ending of this game is the only game ending to make me cry. Okay, now time to talk about what I don't like about this game. All the cutscenes look significantly worse in this version of the game specifically, because they're now all either in the same visual novel style as the rest of the game, or they use the game's 3D models, which looks rough. Not actually a problem that I have with the game, but a lot of people really dislike that due to the limitations of Persona 3 getting ported to the PSP, they had to essentially turn the game into a visual novel, as well as exclude most of the new content added in Persona 3 FES. The battling parts of the game still look fine though, but by far the worst part of Persona 3 Portable is the battling section, and I am going to rant about it now. So basically, the battling parts take place in this big tower called Tartarus, which has one track that plays for the whole tower, and it loops after like 20 seconds. Okay, turns out it does slightly change for each section of Tartarus, but trust me, when you're on floor 1 trillion, it's still just as mind-numbing as at the start. But that's not all, because every floor of Tartarus is randomly generated, which means there is zero actual level design. And remember how earlier I said that I stopped playing in 2023 because the mini-bosses were too hard? Well, turns out that 2023 me was right, because they are complete bullcrap. You'll be at like level 10 and they'll cast heavy fire damage that hits everyone. The egregious difficulty of the mini-bosses is even more noticeable due to how pathetic the major bosses are. There are other pros and cons I have for this game, but I can't really talk about them because they're pretty big spoilers. But seriously, if the battling parts of this game weren't so atrocious, it might just be a 10 out of 10 for me. Also, if you do plan on getting this game, get it on PC so you can add the amazing Katone cutscenes mod, which not only adds all of the original cutscenes back in, but also changes them if you're playing as the female protagonist. It also adds a brand new intro, which is an absolute banger. Persona 3 Portable is a very good game, but also a very bad game, but also very gay, so it all kinda evens out to a nice 8.5 out of 10. Highly recommend you play this, despite all of its flaws. Persona 4 Golden is another game that I'm a little conflicted on. I actually started playing this game a couple weeks after I beat Persona 3 Portable, and compared to that game, yeah, this one just didn't really stick to me as much. I also don't really know how to talk about this game, so I'm just gonna list off some non-spoiler thoughts I have about it. I do like that instead of taking place in a big city, this game's setting is much more rural, just a random Japanese countryside town. Helps it stand out more. I do not like the protagonist, however, because even compared to the other somewhat milquetoast main characters, this guy is just so boring. He has no personality, no tragic backstory, and no drip. This game's soundtrack is really good though. It might even be the best soundtrack out of all the Persona games. It's that great. The quality of the social links is all over the place. Some are pretty good, some are really bad, some are just kinda there, and some are absolutely amazing. The main party members of this game are, in my opinion, very unlikable and annoying. Like, as soon as I'm finally getting to like these losers, one of them always goes, "Duh, let's go peep on the girls in the spa," and then I want to Persona 3 myself. It was very easy to accidentally overlevel in this game. Seriously, I ended up beating one of the major bosses in less than 5 turns. Oops! For some reason, they reuse a lot of stuff from Persona 3, such as the menus, social link graphics, and the way most of the battling section works. Speaking of the battling section, it thankfully isn't as bad as Persona 3's, but it's still pretty boring. The floor layouts are randomized each time, but not only is each section only about 10 floors max, each section also has completely different music, which definitely makes the battling a lot less mind-numbing, although it's still pretty boring. All in all, Persona 4 Golden ended up being a very meh experience, and the fact it reused a lot of stuff from Persona 3 definitely didn't help with that. Of course, there are other parts about the game that I like and dislike, but again, I can't talk about those because they're spoilers. In my ranking of Persona games, I'd probably put it at about 7.5 out of 10. Also, if they mess up any of the songs in Persona 4 Revival, I will kill someone. So at the start of this year, I actually beat Super Mario 64 for the first time, and I have to say, it holds up surprisingly well. I can definitely see why it influenced 3D platformers everywhere. Of course, it has its flaws. That camera is probably the worst aged thing about it, but all in all, very solid game. Anyways, this section is about B3313. So, do you remember how a few years ago the internet had a mini hyperfixation on turning Mario 64 spooky? You know, stuff like the Wario apparition, or the analog horrors, and of course, every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized. Well, B3313, or Build 3313, or Super Mario 64 Internal Plexus if you're a super nerd, is a ROM hack for Super Mario 64 that takes all of those previously mentioned topics, as well as Beta Mario 64 content, and mashes them together in a blender to create an extremely surreal and absolutely enormous version of the N64 classic. I'm pretty sure the target audience for this ROM hack is anyone who had weird memories with the original Mario 64. Since this ROM hack feels like it takes a lot of inspiration from people's Mandela effect stories about it. Like, yeah dude, I totally remember there being a cave beneath Bob-omb Battlefield. It also probably appeals to anyone who sees anything slightly weird in Mario 64 and goes, dude, that is so spooky. Did you know that Wet Dry World's background is a city? That's so scary. Honestly, I'm not really sure how to approach talking about this game, because it doesn't have any real structure or set path. It kinda feels wrong to call B3313 a game, because, as corny as this is gonna sound, it's more like an experience. In B3313, you just kinda drift around between areas that are pretty much normal, areas that are unsettling and unnerving, and areas that are just plain enigmatic. It's almost like a strange dream that just goes on and on and on. So, to try and give an idea of what playing B3313 is like, I'm gonna recap what happened in my first session of playing. Created a new save file on the slightly more ominous sounding title screen. Start at what seems to be the base game castle exterior, but some things feel a little off. Accidentally fast travel to the inside of the castle, which looks quite a bit different, and is apparently exclusive to the show. Go outside to the courtyard, which is already haunted somehow. Go back inside and hear a weird little jingle. Then for some reason decide to enter the big doors and start the first Bowser stage. The Bowser fight immediately starts, and I suck at it so much that I somehow fall off the stage and enter a completely new part of the castle, which is caked in some kind of red mist. Enter a door. Explore this new part of the castle some more and find a door that takes me back to the main castle area, except nope, because this is actually a slightly different main castle room. Enter door number 4, which seems to be a truncated Jolly Roger Bay. I collect all the red coins like the epic gamer I am, and then I get a star. And get a star. Yeah, okay, finally. Enter door number 2, which has a far more annoying version of Womp's Fortress, and eventually get the easy baby star there. Realize that I can't get to the courtyard anymore. Oops. Leave and enter the castle main room, which turns into what it was the first time I entered. Jump into the truncated version of a level I loathe, Cool Mountain, and grab another easy star. Into the new old Lethal Lava Land, which looks extremely similar to the original, and grab yet another free star. Explore the exterior again, mostly finding nothing, until I go out of bounds and enter a brand new level that still freaks me out to this day. The Eel Graveyard. Fast travel the hell out of there and decide to check out the backside of the castle, where there's a golden toad statue, and more importantly, Yoshi, who gives some neat little hints as well as telling me how to swap to the superior Mario brother. Find a sign that says, okay, rude. Try to enter both doors out here only to get gatekept by Bowser, so I go back and kick his ass. Very slowly. But eventually, I beat him and got a red star. Exit that fight and wind up in another brand new part of the castle, although this looks more like something from Zelda. Enter the mirror room from the base game, except... go through the door on the other side and enter Wet Dry World, baby, yeah! This isn't my wet, dry world. Turns out I'm actually in an unfathomably large medieval village, which has some NPCs who are total jerks. You know what? Screw you, man. I'm flooding your city. After epically owning those losers, I grab yet another star. Enter a waterfall painting to find a level that isn't like anything else in the original Mario 64. Feels more like something out of 3D World, maybe? Anyways, I try to shoot myself out of a cannon, but I fail so horrendously that I just go for the easier star. Find an archway with a stop sign above it and try to enter, only to immediately get blocked. Maybe that sign earlier was right. So instead I go down some dungeony stairs and end up in that second main castle room from earlier. What? Try to enter through the castle's back door again, and this time it works, leading me to a moon-themed room, I guess. There's also a toad who's just as confused as me about this castle's layout. Enter a pipe which goes to another moon room, although this one reminds me of the main castle room. The double doors at the top lead to a more decayed looking dungeon room, which then leads to another area of the castle. But this area's music makes me feel like I'm about to be jump scared. So I jump into the nearest hole and...
What the fuck?
So I kill Bowser again and end up back at Zelda Castle, but this time I decide to enter one of the levels here. The level is yet again completely new, though it does slightly remind me of NSMB's forest stages. Also, the music here is an absolute bop. Unfortunately, I get myself stuck, so I have to fast travel back to the main castle room. Go through the other backside door, which leads to an even more Zelda looking area. There's also a pipe which leads to some kind of galaxy balcony. Pretty cool, honestly. No, it's fine, I didn't even want to be there anyways. So I head back to the galaxy balcony and realize it connects to a tower with an elevator in the center, and each floor has a different level. I enter a level with a Goomba painting and find myself in a quaint little town. I grab an easy star and end up in the other side of the mirror room. Again, I decide to try and enter the stop sign archway, and this time it works. Something activated, and now I'm in a darkened version of the courtyard. There's even a labyrinth at the back, but there doesn't seem to be anything there. I leave that courtyard and find myself in the Red Mist Castle. I enter a door to a void room, walk into a pipe and die somehow. And now I'm in the original game's castle? Immediately head to the courtyard and find a version of it that is darkened and seemingly very unstable. I kill the Boo and enter the equivalent to Big Boo's haunt, which doesn't seem that different. I kill all the Boos to awaken the Big Boo and take him out as well to get a star. Which sends me back to this hallway again. I retrace all my steps again, even losing another life, just to get back to the normal castle. Try to leave through the front doors, only to find myself in a haunted version of the main castle room, filled with doors that don't work. Try to leave through those front doors, only to enter wherever the hell this place is, which has some extremely ominous music. After lots of wandering around aimlessly, I entered a room that looks kinda like a gift shop. There was also a painting there, so I jumped into it and entered a nice little island with some relaxing music. I get all the red coins to yoink another star. Through the other door in the gift shop, there's a strange room with a window to a pitch black outside. There's also a painting which leads to a level that kinda reminds me of the one they added to Mario 64 DS, which also has a real beta Mario 64 enemy called Motos. Unfortunately, I suck at platforming and get a game over here. So I decide to take a break and stop playing. Oh, wait, never mind. Oh yeah, I can play as Luigi, that's cool. And that is everything that happened in only my first session of experiencing B3313. And there's still so much I still want to talk about. I haven't even mentioned that the game literally personalizes itself to how you play, but this part of the script is like 1600 words so far, so I'm gonna try to keep this short. Here's a couple more clips of cool things I encountered. But I think one of my favorite discoveries was when I came across this brick maze and decided to wall jump to the top of it, only to realize that it had been behind the castle courtyard the entire time. That moment really got my gears turning about what other secrets are hiding just out of reach. I love B3313. The experience of booting it up and seeing how far I can go or what I can find in this absolutely ginormous rabbit hole is amazing, especially when I get 1 star and exit the level only to realize I'm back in the fucking building again! B3313 is absolutely amazing and you should definitely check it out, if you're okay with sailing the 7 seas, that is. There's also 2 different versions that are being updated currently. It's complicated, I don't want to explain, but I played the older version of the unabandoned build, if that means anything to which one you choose. And if you do decide to experience B3313, just remember what Yoshi says. You may be wondering where to go first, right? Just let it happen. Like a dream. Well, those sure were 5 video games that I played this year. If you want to check any of them out, I have links to them all in the description. I don't really know how to end this, so, happy holidays. Watch Arthur Christmas and Grinch's Ultimatum, go see your family and friends, and thanks for still supporting my channel even though I was slacking off for most of the year. See you in 2026. Unless this uploads in 2026, in which case,